It's incredibly generous of your energy to be doing this. Okay.
I'm having fun.
Where was I born? Into a dad house. House designed by Dad on Monroe Street at the other end. So full circle. This is a completing with my Hollywood pilgrimage.
It's been an awesome journey so far.
Fellow warrior.
Yeah. Camera 1, camera 2. Well, what do you want to say about Dreamtime before I ask the big question?
Well, I like to tease myself about that originally. Oh, this is the way we could connect with her, because at least she's kind of quiet now, so we'll come in Dreamtime and bring her messages. It happens to be a facility that I have. Tuning in, downloading, if you will, messages, guidance. Don't we get so frustrated with semantics? The words are incredibly limited. Words don't mean everything that a thing is. So what is Dreamtime? Well, so guidance. The first dream that I remember, I had when I was 4. On Monroe Street in Hollywood, Florida, in the magic house that my father designed. An incredible visionary mid-century era. Charles Reed Jr.
The Hayden House. So any real architect, well, the house is named after the original client. So the Haydens loved the house so much that perhaps it helped Mrs. Hayden live until she was 104. Dad was greatly influenced by his mentor, Igor Polovitsky, a mid-century modern master. Dad was a young apprentice for Polovitsky on Miami Beach in the early 50s. And this is the first house he designed. Yeah, Jackson is underway restoring and renovating. It's a lot of work, a lot of red tape, but I am very grateful that the Haydens wanted to make sure that it would not be a teardown. And so they chose Jackson, even though he offered a slightly lower price than other potential buyers. And I am very eternally grateful that that is so.
And he created spaces that invited in magic experiences, along with the light and the wind and the sound of rustling palm trees. And in the middle of the night, I have a vision. I'm standing at the top of a narrow city street, holding the handle of my little red wagon with a brilliant, glowing white blue sphere of light inside it. And I start to walk slowly down the middle of the street, and there's no one anywhere, except that I'm very aware that there are thousands of gray people behind locked doors and windows in these vast old city buildings on either side of the street. I am shining with joy. And I get to the end of the street, and there's a round space with a wrought iron fence. and a wrought iron gate. And I open it and I walk in to this space. And there, standing in the center, is a giant bull with its head down and its hoof out. And I walk up to the bull and pull my wagon to him with the glowing light, and I smile and bow. Throughout my life, the dream was immense guidance. As my spirit partner and spirit guide, my husband, Stephen, was transitioning to the other side for very tall reasons, walking the cancer journey. I would refer to that dream all of the time, and it would come to me in various forms. And I would try to cling to that joy in it. Never did I ever think that it was a literal dream, though. And so when Steve passed away a few years before, September 11th, 2001, he died on September 12th. And when the paperwork came to me, the date was wrong, but not wrong. It was a message. The date said September 11th.
Mm.
And so several years later, as I was immersed in a journey, walking the literal and metaphorical dust of 9/11, immersed in this inner journey to find the light in that dust, no matter what. And I was literally guided by dream time. Constant psychic, if you will, dreams about landing in a place I'd never been, a city. And in those dreams, I would be speeding across a vast river, fast toward a city. And when I was given a sublet in Jersey City across from Lower Manhattan about a year and a half after September 11, with bad artist credit and everything, one day I go to the Path station to take the train underneath the Hudson River to get to Lower Manhattan. Okay. The site was where the Path train landed, okay, in Lower Manhattan. And it speeds under the water in a straight line across the Hudson River. And I stood at the doorway in the very front of the train, and I had a glass, and it hits me. This is what I dream, this movement, this fast pace across the Hudson River. And at that time, the whole 16 acres, they called it the bathtub, was completely open. There were no walls. So the train would circumnavigate that space, and you would see the whole space, the 6 or 7 story walls. And I knew that I was meant to, yes, indeed, be in the city, and that I dreamed it. And so my body of work, my art project called Through Lost to Light, was to be an installation in Lower Manhattan under the auspices of an organization called September Space. They worked with September 11 health issues. So one day I'm coming out of the Path train, and I say, I asked, thanks, I need to go look at the space, to scope out the walls, to get ready for the installation. And thanks for the address. I'm going to get down there. So I'm walking down Lower Broadway, and all of a sudden, I just sit on the sidewalk and do that, oh my God, I know what's coming. My whole life, never. And I stand up slowly, I walk slowly past Wall Street and Trinity Church. And I get to the end of Lower Broadway, where it stops right at Bowling Green Park, which is a round space with a wrought iron fence and a gate. And in front of it is the Wall Street bull sculpture, the giant bronze bull with its head down and a hoof out. And there, a wonderful, venerable building where my work is to be installed, where the tickets to take your first journey on the Titanic were sold. On the 11th floor at 11 Broadway, my work was installed for 2 years across from the Wall Street Bull. And it shined a light, Georgie. I think it did. What an honor. And so the circles of dreams, if you will, it's circular, it's not linear. Dreams over time? Oh, so many. Here's one, and it's not a dream. After Stevie died, I found myself in a space, sitting on the edge of a pond, cross-legged, and there's Stevie sitting on the other side in his beautiful Buddhist meditative position. And each of us takes our hand and we do this, and suddenly there are flowers and leaves on the trees, big cat, different things, and we're playing. And I say, I wish we could have had more time together. And Steve, just serene in love and light, he says, I know. And then I said, but I have to go now. He says, I know. And then I'm torn up out of the dream experiences as I come up into lucidity, wake up. I hear the word over and over again, Bardo, 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 that space between life and beyond. And I'm no scholar, I'm not well read. Later, I came to learn about the term Bardo. But that was the evidence, all that I needed, that we did meet on the other side. And we all work together. We work with each other more than ever on the other side. And it is my job, if you will. Dreamtime helps me marry together life and death, if you will. When my beautiful Hawaii spirit sister, Hoakale, passed away, she came to see me in Dreamtime. It's a phrase I like. There's some Native American folk use that phrase in English, Dreamtime. And she was there with me. And she says, I'm sorry I was not there with you, because she was not on the island with me. The other island in my life is Hawaii, a little different from Manhattan. And it is not about the little cancer. She had died of cancer. It is about the bigger cancer. And Randy needed to be with me on the other side. And who is that? Randy Takaki is my other spirit Ohana family member that I work with, my art soul brother from the island of Hawaii. And he and Hoakale had died within weeks of each other.
Summerlin Key, which is on the second to last key. We have one on by the Tampa area, and then we have one on Marathon. The one on the Tampa area definitely got hit a little bit, but not as bad as most places. The only problem was that they usually lay the traps out about like 5 to 7 days earlier than season, just to start getting them in there before they can pull them. They didn't want to throw their traps out, got because the hurricane came and destroyed all their traps before season even started. So a lot of them got a late start. They went out like on Saturday and Sunday night instead of like on Thursday, Wednesday when they would have liked to have gone out. Yeah. But as you can see, we're still doing pretty good,
Yeah. And it could be, Georgie, that we work together now more than we ever have known. And as I studied last phone calls that loved ones made to each other from the planes and the towers in lower Manhattan, along with I love you, they said over and over, no matter what, I'll see you again. No matter what, love life, no matter what, just have fun. And so in that third painting from my series of our dust-covered lives at that time, I have a shining green apple coming out of the dust. Apples covered in dust on a table that had been covered in dust. And no matter what we do, keep shining. And so, incredibly, as hard as it has been walking the journey of loss, I heard a phrase the other day, loss is freedom. I'm going with that. We can't push the healing though. And we can't, we have to honor loneliness. No matter what. I would not give up one moment though. So where you began, who am I? Well, maybe who I am is just this whole journey.
So what has following Dreamtime guidance yielded? What's it for?
Okay, I'm starting with this wording. It's a treasure hunt.
Oh,
And I love gold as a metaphor.
that's cool.
All
I
right.
love that.
Yeah, so breaking through the ore, yes, the dust, and just, there's treasure there. There's treasure. It is. And I mean, but how the treasure is going to be realized is not for us to know.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps the yielding is, as we know from many wonderful statements from spirit sages throughout time, it is the journey that matters. And maybe that is simply the treasure. Okay. But I love the journey looking for the treasure. Is there, a treasure? What's it yielding? What's it yielding? Everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything tore open after my spirit companion moved to the other side. Tore open with and revealed gifts. Not an empty life, but a life filled with gifts that I never could have fathomed. And my experiences came forth, spilled out. Is that treasure? With my star relatives? Yeah, it's treasure. Sometimes it's tough treasure, but it's good. And here we are. I mean, we're working with death. And could it be that the journey, the communion with the other side of life is communion with something so infinite and so vast that it's, here's a thought, more alive than even we are.
Mm-hmm.
That which exists beyond death. And so our star relatives are interwoven with that journey on the other side. And to wake up to that is just, paradigm shocking, right? But hey, I'm a outrigger paddler, okay? And so, my metaphor is the va'ah, the canoe. I'm gonna keep paddling, the journey. walking it, paddling it, facing fear, moving beyond. Tremendous harvest.
Been getting a lot of impressions and education in this mode, specifically studying all the NDEs and whatnot. And basically what others on the other side, either experiencers who go and come back or beings who stay there and offer impressions to this side, death is not even what we can call death. It's a moment of no time. So I really do appreciate the comparison of the paddling, that you just keep going. It's literally a non-moment, and you find at the next moment that you are literally just in another moment. You're just doing something totally different at that point, but it is still the same journey. I mean, you're, like you said, your people are still working with you, and that's a beautiful thing to know. I think that's one of the imperatives to share. It's such an important thing to share. There are people out there who wish not to, who are in the know, especially in the scientific fray, who wish not to share this information, thinking that it would be paradigm shattering or ontologically shocking. But it's like, no, this is extraordinarily liberating information. It makes people live better lives,
Yeah. I mean, I mean, yeah, but man, I mean, I'm glad we're talking at this moment, not even several weeks ago or several months ago. I've been in my personal dojo facing it's incredible how much we come to know. And then we come to a place where we're blown away by how little we know. And in this last year, I'm good at facing the fear. How are we working together? Steve's energy, my other people, my spirit, Ohana. Are we working together in ways in all of these years that I have never even known? Because the world tells us, and I can't stand the phrase, and it's a phrase from that time in New York City, move on, move on. That perspective is one of suppression. If you move on, it's defined by the everyday worldness that society compels and thrusts upon us. So it's even kind of crazy, but I'm heading into a time where I'm going to be talking about my people that are on the other side in the present moment in a bigger way than ever, with more joy, more enthusiasm. Steve's incredible visionary awareness did not die as a creator, inventor, and closest to my heart, brilliant, visionary cartoonist. It's all still alive, I mean, I would not have the journey with the art that I've created if he had not moved on. Yeah. Right?
No, that's interesting. In my studio, I typically either I'm espousing something from the contact side of things, which I think it's all the same thing, honestly. But one of the tidbits I can give, and I don't hold my tongue. For instance, a client came recently and he talked about how he lost his mother, and it was years ago, years and years ago. But he's been operating under the fallacy that she's just gone. And when I told him, I said, she's not only not gone, she's literally with you right now. It wasn't a matter of belief. He knew what I was saying was true.
Yeah.
And he just needed to be told. That's why it's important that we're sharing. It's important that other people are hearing it. We should never underestimate the amount of people who just are not in the know. And it only takes that little reminder, like, hey, this is the truth of the matter. And you don't really need to be told this. You already know this. We're just reminding you. Like, think about how absurd it is that that being that you knew so intimately is just gone and you moved on. Did you move on? You didn't really move on. You've just been living under a false notion. And then with this reminder, they come into a new way of being immediately. Oh, I say, yes, tonight. And this I said to somebody who had just lost somebody, and they were really just all steeped in the melancholy of it. And I said, but they're with you now in more ways than they've ever been with you. So what you should do tonight, acknowledge them first and foremost, and go ahead and open up a dialogue and see what happens. 100% of the time, they come back saying, thank you for that.
But you see, if that's what you're doing in your studio, then you're giving the highest thing to give in the world. And yes, there are communications, if you will, that are out there, and some some things such as Whitley Strieber's experience with the so-called Master of the Key in the book The Key.
The Key.
And the Key fellow speaks of yeah,
Mikhail.
of yeah, named Michael. He met Whitley in his hotel room in the middle of the night one night. It's literally a question and answer dialogue. No dream time, no dream time. And the fundamental infrastructure of the Key is transcending the fear of death. And it's the physics, if you will, of spirit and how it is time for humanity to transcend that fear. And so, but I mean, you can't fake it. You've got to walk the grief. You've got to walk the emptiness, man. I mean, are you kidding me? But
it's just a requisite step.
Yeah.
Walk through it, process it.
And timing is its own sentient energy. Okay, closure, if you will, or wholeness. Can't force it. And I'm gonna dive into this.
Please.
Okay. I'm gonna share something. Okay, this image. I made a life-size painting, okay, of these three tall beings.
And I'll get like a close-up of it too.
Yeah. And I came to understand through my Hawaiian sister that the energy of this being that first came to be with me on this strange craggy planet that had no atmosphere, this tiny little, funny little UFO came and landed. And out comes this tall white being who came over to me and embraced me with the joy and love that I never ever have fathomed in my whole existence. But I have. And so when we went off to sit in the hot ponds together on the edge of Kalapana on the black sand one night, and Hoakale says, well, that's Steve's energy. Mm-hmm. And it just, blew me away. How could this be? What do you mean? How? And she said, you can call them in. And there are three. Okay, and three, of course, is a powerful number and energy. And when I went back to the mainland, I went out in the woods and did that. And I had a friend staying with me. I never said anything about it. And the next morning, he came and said, something happened last night. I mean, it must have been a dream. But I wake up in the middle of the night and there are these three tall, white beings in your living room. And I say, what are you doing in Melissa's house? Get out of here. And one comes up to me, smiling, and says, we are here for Melissa. And I go in your room and you're up and dressed, smiling, looking out the window. There's a glowing light. And you say to me, well, I know. And then it all just went blank. And I had him write it all out. And they came in that way to give me physical, if you will, evidence of the reality. This is what I wrote.
I'm gonna put this camera back on. You're doing great.
It's good stuff we're sharing.
Yes, agreed. Wonderful, wonderful.
Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. And I wrote this. In a dream, I come to see you. Among the stars you live. Beyond, excuse me, I'm gonna start over.
Yeah, start over.
In a dream, I come to see you. Among the stars you live. Beyond the veil. How do I know you? What is this I feel? Such infinite joy. Oh, yes, I do know you. My ancient friend, the whole universe shines in your eyes. Shimmering deep black lakes in your eyes. I see the very essence of you. There is no veil around your heart. As you, my ancient friend, embrace me, I know we are made of the same truth. We all come from the same starry place.
Oh, yeah. That's good stuff.
So yeah, Georgie, I mean, we're intense, but it's part of our heart energy, man, because I think, sometimes we gotta be tough to navigate this journey, rah. I mean, and waves are a good metaphor. I'm gonna ride that tough wave. I cannot define what the water is to do, but that sea knows where my shore is. And I'll share this. This is where we have gone, and it's good. I mean, I've wrestled with, the Dalai Lama inspires me. He's the essence of joy, no matter what. In this world.
He's been through some choppy waves.
Yeah, his whole home was taken away.
Yeah.
And I mean, how do I do the joy thing? How do I do it? So there was a message that came to me, and I know that Steve's energy, he had fun shape-shifting. He's sort of a cartoon character from the other side. He has fun with that. And he came through someone that never knew him. My friend, and I know that he hijacked her energy to bring me a message. She wrote it all out. And it's the clearest message I was ever given, no matter knowing incredible shamans and amazing people in this journey about my past lives. And I'm standing at a lava stone wall. And I'm all upset. Look at this lava flow. It's happening. And things will be destroyed. And his energy says, everything broken is whole. And I begin to pick up broken artifacts and put them on the lava stone wall, and they become whole and shine like rainbows forever. And I'm looking off at them. And then suddenly I'm at an outdoor luau, and there's a guy in board shorts. It's Steve's energy. And I say, what's happening in this world? It's all so terrible. And he laughs and he said, it's just how you're seeing it. And you have had many lives where you have identified with pain, loss, and tragedy. And in this lifetime, you're to embrace joy. And you do not have to fix your family or the world. And your own art is teaching you what you already know. And I know he was alluding to the dust pains.
Oh, yeah.
You just have to stop seeing everything as hurtful and see beyond it. And you will know joy.
It's literally what you're saying in those paintings.
Yeah, to myself.
Yeah.
But are you kidding?
Yeah.
I mean, every day I have to remind myself, of myself at age 4 when I had that dream where I was filled with joy in that, gray city, carrying the sphere of light, and I'm shining. But it sure is damn hard every day to just stay in that, right? That space, that which we already are. Reminding self of self. Isn't that wild?
It can be a skill.
Yeah,
We
right?
can get better at it.
Yeah.
It does take an intention to remind ourselves, like, this is a choice, and we have to remind ourselves on a daily basis sometimes, because sometimes we get those curveballs, but it is a choice, and it does become a skill. I think it's great that art is one of those creative expressions that, like, it's the inverse of fear. I think you do it enough. I think it's probably encouraging to see that the message comes through in the artistic process. Maybe some people should use that as a way to instigate it potentially. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
because it in that mode, in that framework, it naturally comes forward. Whereas in our normal day-to-day life, we might just be steeped in all the other bullshit.
yeah. Yeah.
This was the house. Where we're standing right now was covered later on. So this was an open courtyard. All of this front wall here, and that room over there, and the room that is our women's office / junk room right now is the front of the house. So it was an open grass area. So this is actually the front of the house, all of the doors along here. I think a lot of these doors were actually solid doors. Do you remember that? So that it was privacy if somebody walked in here, because I don't know if these were originally all... They look like solid here, and I have a feeling
I
in this
just feel
picture.
the open energy of it.
Yeah.
That's what I know. Yeah.
He made the space open at the top with clear story windows. So the bathrooms are clear story windows.
Hey, it looks good, Dan.
Yeah, we're working on it. And the bedroom, which is... So you can see everything around here, and then everything else here is, these are these are called jalousies. I don't know if you have them where you grew up at all. They're just slats that close with, they're usually glass, but he put in wood slats. So everything opens up to the back. And what there used to be, the people that used to own this, that owned it before us, they took it down, but there was like a screen all the way across the back of the house where this piece of concrete slab is poured. So you'd open the doors out to that.
Okay, buddy.
Charles Reed Jr., my dad, knew how to create atmosphere in tune with earth. All the flow, open doors, the glass, everything tuned in. Newer kitchen, but all of this is original. And as a kid, I would run through this house and many of Dad's houses, just filled with magic. This is an original Dad couch, built in. And there are many clients that say that living in a Chuck Reed space added life to their lives. And it has for me, that's for sure. He was an incredible visionary. In the 50s, he helped host Frank Lloyd Wright here in Florida. He liked to say he was autodidactic, self-learning. And so am I. I have Dad's DNA. And linear form is part of my journey as well. Organic form also. But Dad was my nature shaman, my teacher. He taught me to be completely in tune with the flow of earth. Thank you. I want to share what my dad said the night my mom died. It's incredible. They were married forever. And as we leave the hospital, my dad says, it would be a betrayal of life not to continue to have a sense of wonder.
Mm-hmm.
And he continued, every moment he would sit with his oak trees, with his spirit friend, Ollie the cat, and smile. He would pick up the acorns and look at them.
Mm-hmm.
The incredible artistic and architectural visionary that he was. And I'm sure he still is on the other side. And my mother doing her incredible sculpture. Yeah, on the other side, words, right? Sky Studio. They're all hanging out on the edge of the universe at the cafe, you know?
When did he pass again?
It'll be this February, it'll be 3 years. He was about 96.
I bet that there are some Tibetan scholars out there who could identify him if he's decided to come back and finish the work or do more of the work.
Well, yeah, and as I have shared, Dorji, I mean, the stories are also epic. It's a lot to say in words. But Dad was my inspiring experiencer. He comes home from World War II. He's the youngest lieutenant in the 82nd Airborne in World War II. He was in the Philippines. And in 1947, he had his experience. Okay, the year of Roswell.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this piece is in honor of my childhood house here in Hollywood that Dad designed. Okay. And so, but he wakes up in the middle of the night, he hears a wind and sees a light coming through the rustling palms, through the jalousies. And of course, he was pretty damn cool and grounded, right? Just home from World War II? Yeah. And he breathes. And
how old were you when he told you this?
Wow. When he told me. Well, I was a kid because I mean, Dad was reading von Otteken, everything, Castaneda, everything. I read Mothman Prophecies when I was the Mothman Prophecy when I was 9 years old. It was in Dad's library. Okay, so yeah, he had told me around that time. So he's awake and he hears the words within self. Do you wish to stay or do you wish to go? Suddenly he's aware when he makes the choice, he is to move part of his body. He couldn't move. And with all his might, he moves one finger, which was the act of making the choice to stay. And then the light goes up and the wind dies away and the palms go quiet. And 3 months later, the exact same thing happened again, and he made the choice to stay again. And his whole life, he contemplated and wondered, what would it have been like to choose to go? And I mean, it's incredible. At the first Star Nations gathering, I shared Dad's experience with Dr. John Mack, the former head of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School, who bravely let his worldview crumble away to work with experiencers. And I shared Dad's story with J. Allen Hynek at a talk that Dad and I went to. Both of them were deeply intrigued with Dad's particular journey, making that conscious and self-empowered, if you will, choice to stay. It's a beautiful contact story. And that's what we're doing. We're choosing to stay, aren't we?
I have some insight on that. I've actually dealt with that same question lately. And it was one of the most emotional moments of my life because I was surprised at my response. I want to stay, even though I desperately want to go. And it was like I was very proud of myself. And when they expressed that there was no right or wrong answer. This was it was totally fine. Whatever I chose, whatever I wanted it to be, you choose. It's up to you. Do you want to go or do you want to stay? Either way, there's great responsibility. Both of them are their own chore, right? When I said I will stay, I didn't say I want to stay. I said I will stay.
Yeah.
They said that's the right answer.
Wow.
So it's like, was there a right answer? But that's the right answer.
No, but that's the answer to your question. You know, who are you? That's your answer to every question. Your path, who you are, the choice to be here is who you are. Does that resonate? Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's if I can toot my own horn and pat myself on the back, it is not an easy decision.
hell no.
So I applaud your father. That's
Nice.
And to even in that moment to express it, overcoming the paralysis, overcoming it. It's like he said it with his whole body.
Wow. Right? Yeah, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something that's just blowing me away lately, and it's a real grace for me. You know, I'm hearing a lot of folks talk about their near-death experiences and how they wrestle with coming back into life, right? Could it be? And you know, it's better to share from a place of the question, because answers are finite. The question keeps it open in an infinite way. Yeah. So could it be that the pattern with the near-death experience is that many are having this happen, this trauma, because they were trying to move on from the reason that they were meant to be here. They were suppressing that, you know, and I'm generalizing, and so on the other side, in death, they get an immense experience with the clarity of why they're here. And you hear these talks, you know, that, oh, and it's magnificent, and it's heart, and it's joy, and it's love on the other side. I want to stay, not come back into life, right? But then I flashed on my experience in the so-called Bardo, sitting with Steve as we are sitting. And it just hit me. You know, we met at the Contact in the Desert event, and a legendary near-death fellow was there sharing his story, Daniel Brinkley. Well, anyway. And how many times he went through the experience to come back into life. And I thought to myself, I said to beautiful Steve, I have to go now. I didn't need a near-death experience to make the choice to come back into life. Because I was going to keep paddling. I'm not going to give up on the journey. And where's it going? What are we doing? What's the design? What's the ultimate masterpiece underway? We don't know.
The angels don't know.
Wow, that's how big it is.
They are facilitating.
And so, but what is that? It is evidence that it's incredibly powerful what we are here doing. And I'll sort of journey into, from that perspective, Earth itself, you know, where we are in this great vast imbalance now, the collapse of so many heart places. And you had a beautiful talk with our spirit sister Emily, who is shining in the North Carolina mountains right now. And here I am in Florida, and our Lahaina in Hawaii. And could it be that our heart places have a sentient awareness and intelligence, and they're making a choice because it is tearing the heart open. When we lose these magic places, perhaps it's a similar energy to the collapse of the World Trade Towers. Okay. And so there's immense possibility that we can harvest light from that dust of what is dying away, from that flood. Or maybe it's just as simple as making the choice that it's that, even though our places are so precious on the earth and the earth
That's
itself.
interesting. Even no matter what you think about the cause of 9/11, you can't deny what its effect was.
Yeah.
These calamities, what they are is like a Trojan horse that does rips open the heart center, and it brings attention where otherwise there would have been none. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we can't stay in the incredibly tiny sense of comfort.
Complacency.
Yeah.
It's got to be shattered.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think these, like we talked about with Emily, these are tiny nudges, and bigger ones are on the way if we don't get the message. So it's important that you are sharing your message, especially through art, because what a forgiving medium, what a forgiving platform to express something that is so vital. Do you need another 9/11, people?
Yeah. And it could be that simply the climate itself is the 9/11 that's underway.
Oh, it's massive. Lordy.
Yeah.
Talk about I mean, how many people didn't really have much of a connection to those towers or to New York, period, and it still impacted them. Well, these are going to hit a lot closer to home for a lot more people.
A great statement, Georgie.
I mean,
Yes.
the people in North Carolina were not expecting tragedy.
Yeah. I mean, they were, I mean, you know, they called Asheville a a place protected from the traumas in their world, you know.
Yeah.
You know, there it is. That's the wow. That's the message that these magic islands of physical space that we love are in great jeopardy, or dying, or collapsing. And in that is a more powerful message than any other way to share with us, to wake us up. I mean, we want to cling to, I want to cling to, oh, I want to find good messages in this loss, you know, or is it just empty, you know? I mean,
the choice.
Because it's damn hard. Damn hard.
That's how you're looking at it. I
Yeah.
think we're choosing the right way to look at it. I think
that's a great statement.
Our celestial friends and our the visitors, that is something that they're trying to show us. Like, hey, there's a message here. You should pay attention. And that's the best way to look at it. You know, they see a little further down the road than we do. Heed that message. When they tell children, you know, children, what can they understand? What are the children saying? What are the children saying when they're communicating with these others? That's what they're talking about. They're talking about anything else. They're talking about your 401k. They're talking about the land. They're talking about the trees. They're talking about the waters. You know?
I mean, and what's the message? Maybe the only message was in the dream I had it for. I'm joy. That's all. That's the only message. And then so, you know, you're battling the tsunami of life. And you don't you don't feel that there is a shore waiting for you, but it's always there because the trauma, the waves of trauma, know how to deliver you to that shore of joy, if you will. But we've got to trust it. Yeah. What's an adventure?
The journey, full circle.
Yeah. Yeah, Brock.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, wow. And I mean, it's fantastic to come forward now with truth and be a voice.
Why now?
If we uh hide from the voice now, your voice of truth, our awareness, if it's not being shared now, what would happen? We would not be prepared to be aware of how infinite we are. Could it be as simple as preparation? There's a positioning underway. Okay.
Or else, why make the effort to speak through the channels, the willing, the art? What is this effort all about in the first place? Well, it doesn't have much to do with these little trivial things that we have so near and dear to our hearts, our little luxuries we afford ourselves. There's a much bigger project at stake here. And the positioning, I think it's important that you're mentioning this. It shows great wisdom. There's more at stake than we could ever imagine.
Yeah.
And these people, the patience that they have, the prowess that they exert to get through to us, because our participation is vital.
It is vital for their own growth, not just ours.
Right. Yes.
Because everything is a tapestry. Everything is a thread, universe wide and universes. Yeah. So perhaps that's the only evidence we need that we are the gold. We are vital. Our awakening is vital in the whole universe, the whole community, in the vast community.
Richard Dolan was talking recently about the what's the word? The frequency of sightings. And he's saying he's studied all these thousands and blah blah blah, But it seems more now than ever, at least in this particular, epoch, that we're seeing them a lot more often. And I had a talk with somebody recently about this and about this phenomenon because they kind of asked about it. And impression came through, analogy, canaries in a coal mine. They are here more and more. Why? What is the purpose of a canary in a coal mine but to alert to danger? And then all this presence, all these channelers, all these sightings, all these circles, all these signs, more now. Hey, why don't they just land and tell us? Why don't they just get a loudspeaker and tell us? Well, doesn't that imply your interpretation and participation? Doesn't it seem like it's being put on your plate and they're desperately doing all the way up to the line? What? Hey, this right now, this thing that your government is in denial of, your world is in denial of, the majority of you are in denial of. This is happening. Isn't it obvious? What else do you need?
What else do you need?
What more do you need?
Yeah.
I mean, when is it going to sink in that
Yeah.
the signs have just been growing and growing and growing? We are so dense.
But we're each a canvas with infinite possibility and ability to design. Every human. And so you already have the tools. And
I mean, if it were a lost cause, I don't think if I were in their position, I'd say anything. And since they can see further down the road, the effort is not wasted. So I do believe in the potentiality. Keyboy
yeah.
doesn't go to Whitley for no reason.
Yeah, right.
The reason is let's show you are important. This is important. This isn't impossible. This isn't impossible. In fact, it's possible. Oh, yes.
There's some friends. Why was I compelled? And as you and I talk, we know how immense and intense our stories are, and it's a wrestling match. But I also love the creative challenge, trying to find semantics to, the statement about Zen. If you're talking about it, you're not living it.
True.
Yeah, except that all of our tools are worthy. So as I am working on my book project, sure, it's guided, So as I sat with Kahu Wendell Silva, and he was reading my energy, and he said with his beautiful aloha, he said, if you do not share your story, you will fade away. So every day since that, I go, I've got to get the story out there. But it is on time. And as I sat with my beautiful shaman sister friend, Jan, who had also lived on the island, we met in Raleigh. She said, it's on time. If it had been written 2 years ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, it would not be on time. So, yeah. I mean, so our utilizing our tools, our art ability, our semantic ability, and the incredible visionary that you are. I mean, could it be that our gifts are evidence of how infinite we are, that we are utterly tuned in, we are not tiny little beings. Okay, we're infinite possibility. I love in the key, he talks of an artist. He says Rembrandt is a fully realized spirit who honored his gifts. Something, that's how he talked about it, and is a worthy companion on the other side of life. Because of that, all you have to do is honor your gifts. What the hell else? What are you gonna do? You're gonna keep wrestling with what you think you're supposed to be. Oh, I need to be bigger than this. I need to do that. I mean, what if we just relax into what we already are? Yeah.
Have to be reminded somehow.
Oh yeah.
My near-death experience, the fun, loving, awesome, heavenly parts of it were totally erased because of something that you had said earlier. Because you would just want to stay. I did come back with I drank too much. So like what you had also said was wrong or right, that my subconscious was totally just, I don't care about this. I didn't even see it. I thought I was doing nothing wrong in my immediate waking mind, but I drank enough to stop my heart. When I woke up, I was intubated, had a catheter and a thing up my nose, and was cuffed to a bed, all this, horrible experience. But right before that, I was in a waiting room. Black and infinite. And I was infinite. I remembered my shape as a massive, supermassive black hole. I was a massive galaxy. My true self was just raw, raging hurricane of energy. But then I took the shape as this little avatar, and then I was stuffed into a body. Yeah. What we really are doesn't look anything like this. You are a soul with a body, not the other way around. The body is no. How could the body possibly manifest? How could the brain even be the progenitor of consciousness? What a fallacy. What a silly, silly notion to operate under. No, you are massive. You are infinite. I think the reminder is in little conversations like this, and everybody kind of comes into it. And I think this is right now the age where people really need to come into that sense of wonder. Yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, you can't deny anything. But to get there, to that sense of wonder, if you deny body, if you deny life, you're not going to get there.
Yeah.
Because you're on the path that you need to be on. There's not another one or a better one than the one you're meant to be on. Because then you'll get there from your path.
Yeah. Yeah, I came back with a covenant that was fully intact. And I'm aware that everyone traversing this journey has made their pact with God, has made their pact. And you could totally disregard it right now. But everything that you have agreed to do, you will accomplish one way or another. And it doesn't matter if it takes this one or 1,000 more or 10,000 more. I love this like parable I learned from Buddhism. Somebody asked the Buddha how long had been coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. And he gave this beautiful illustration. It's quite terrifying. It's one of the most terrifying analogies I have ever heard. He says, I want you to picture a mountain, tallest mountain in the world. And each year an eagle bearing a scarf in his foot, a scarf of silk. Each year he comes over the top of the mountain and grazes the mountain with the scarf once a year. In the time that it takes him to wear the mountain down utterly is how long you've been doing this. Whoa.
That's incredible.
Doesn't that give you some insight? This is a long-winded process, and therein we should give respect to those who are overseeing its process and acknowledge them. Those people that we co-create with. This is a long-winded experiment. It's very important. Otherwise, it wouldn't be none of this, all these things. None of these things would even be here in this form. Yeah. We are playing our part. We should play our part. We should see that alone. We don't need to know all these grandiose things. Like, you're here, that's no accident, and you are a vital contributor to the grand scheme. The grand scheme that not even the angels and all their infinite powers and insights have any clue as to what it's all about. But you're vital. You are the matrix that what you are, the thing that what you are is intentionally crafted, intentionally created, intentionally inserted into the grand experiment. So play your role. One of the things that the others wish to convey every morning to me. You are each kings and queens of heaven. Behave like it. Oh, what an admonishment.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to share this.
Sure, please.
Yeah, okay. So, the Star Nations gatherings, in honor of Standing Elk, Lakota elder, forgive me, uh, who had the beautiful courage, along with other Native folk, to come together in South Dakota many, many years ago for that first gathering. And I was guided through dream time to be at that gathering. And Dr. John Mack and Whitley Strieber and elders from around the world were there. Later, I was honored to be asked by Standing Elk to make a piece, a painting. This is a print of that painting, of the star symbols. And he shared that they came in to wake him up in the middle of the night and take him out in the woods, and they showed him a bar with the symbols. And I'm no scholar, but there's energy in having created the art. And Standing Elk, Golden Eagle, moved on to the other side during the virus. And oh yes, he is still working with Earth and all of us. And I do sense that there are synchronicities, if you will, and incredible people that are weaving together that have connected with him. I've had the honor of meeting some folk of late that have connected with him in the past. And these synchronicities are messages that we are each a worthy thread of gold. Perhaps even if you are not necessarily of Native heritage. We all have voice, and we all need to keep working together. And so, yes, the symbols.
Miraculous.
There you go.
Miraculous. And it's for the layperson who probably does not have any impulse to be more than that. It is not necessary that they can contrive meanings. The meanings of these symbols, the reason that they are given, the reason they are meant to be shared, is because they imprint on you. Their message is given to you.
Yes.
It is imprinted on the DNA.
Yeah. And is that the gatherings, in Sweat Lodge experience, where they were coming in with interpretations of the symbols. And I have that written material. Many stories, as we share, Torchy, it gets frustrating. We have big adventures, big experiences, and it's a challenge to speak of all of them in a good way, in a full way. But I was part of a secret gathering at one point, and had the honor of being part of that there in South Dakota with Standing Elk and Dr. Richard Boylan and others, and we invited in, if you will, a star experience that landed there on the Missouri River right in front of three of us one night. And so, I mean, maybe it is as simple as sharing story. So I've got to share these experiences. And then there's energy in them to contemplate. You finish a painting, it's on a wall, let's say it's in a museum. And then the energy of that painting continues to be alive through the observer, because it becomes its own entity. Could it be that as we share our stories and write our stories, and they're shared through the writing, that they continue to evolve, through the observer, not necessarily through myself as the experiencer, but the story itself, the olelo, that's the Hawaiian word for story, it is a living being. So when it's out there, it's evolving. Could that be why Kahu Wendell Silva said to me, if you do not share your story, you will fade away.
Mm.
And that meant that the story itself will fade away. It needs to be given. So we have to unhide. That's one of my favorite words.
What a calling.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any closing statements? I know it's hard to wrap these things up.
Yeah,
We could go on
right?
forever about this and
Yeah.
widen the aperture more and more and more, but
But thanks for the good harvest.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm gonna do this.
Sure. Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah.
Let me I'll get this.
I don't have to read the whole thing.
No, you should.
You want me to?
You should
All
read
right.
that whole.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Thank
put this
you.
right on you.
All right. Yeah, is it balanced?
Oh, it's totally
All right. So when Steve got his cancer diagnosis, this is what he wrote to himself. Fear and love are the two forces which have compelled every thought and action in my life. All that I have ever done or said derives from this. Every negative or positive emotion derives from this. Through my fears have stemmed every limiting and self-defeating motivation. Through my sense of love have every worthwhile and life-affirming event come about. For these reasons, I now choose love in the hope of experiencing my unlimited potential. I begin this process in myself by releasing my sense of self-judgment, my sense of separateness, and consequently my fear. My fear is my illusion of separateness. I now affirm my sense of union, the knowledge that I am part of everything, and a profound sense of non-judgmental love for myself and all things. My sense of love is experiencing the reality of union with myself and all things. I affirm now that I will put my life efforts into bringing a union between my intellectual self, my emotional self, and my higher self. I assert that the separation of these selves has never actually occurred, but only the illusion of separation has occurred in myself. The illusions of my social conditioning is the wall I must break down bit by bit until there is no sense of separation. I now affirm myself. I am. I affirm my life, and I affirm unconditional love for myself and all others. Steve Brost, 11/22/93. He did not write one word about healing cancer. He wrote about becoming whole, no matter what. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Okay,
Listen.
Melissa. Yeah.
Fellow martial artist.
Yeah. I hear it. I hear the embracing of pain, of transition. That is real mastery. Real mastery. Most people don't get it yet. It takes a long time, but that seems like nail on the head.
He was whole
Yeah.
at age 35.
Wow. Yeah.
That's when he died.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wrap with this.
Okay.
2 nights before September 11, 2001, I'm at an art show. It's a crowded show. Everybody's packed together. And I feel a tap, tap, tap on my back. And I turn. Who is it? And there's a fellow there I'd never seen before with a quirky smile and funny hair. And he says, "It's okay." And zips away, and it's as if he literally disappeared. And whenever I was in great rage about what's happening to the planet, Steve would always say to me, "Don't worry, Mel, it's okay." I know that was Steve shape shifted to share that with me before September 11th.
Absolutely.
And this I'll include. since our theme was dream.
Dreamtown.
3 months before September 11, I had a dream. I'm standing in a city street holding hands with Steve's family. There are thousands of dust-covered people that run past us, and tall buildings in the distance. And I always hesitate. I say the words I did in the dream, but I'll also say it this way. I hear the words. I'm sorry, but it had to happen. And all you need to know is that love is everything.
Mm-hmm. Melissa, thanks for coming on the pod.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the next one.
Pod people.
Yeah, pod people.
I love it. Aloha.
Thank you guys.